Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to look at the world a little differently, through the lens of permaculture. And our goal? To see the hidden patterns that connect, well, everything. Now, this isn't some belief system. It's really just a way of observing. So you ready? Let's get into it.
And this right here, this is the big question we're tackling. What if the real secret, the key to a healthier planet, isn't some huge, complicated solution? What if it's just a new way of seeing, a shift in perspective that lets us finally see the incredible dance of life all around us, and maybe understand where we fit in?
All right, let's dive in. And we're going to start from the ground up, literally. Because if we want to see these patterns, we've got to understand the very foundation of pretty much all life on land, and that is the soil.
So most of us learn that nature pretty much runs on sunlight, right? Photosynthesis, solar power, that's the whole game. But get this, deep on the ocean floor, way down where there's zero sunlight, you've got these incredible ecosystems just thriving. How? Well, they run on chemosynthesis. They literally create energy from chemicals. It's a perfect reminder that life is way more clever and complex than we give it credit for. Okay, so back on dry land, the energy flow obviously starts with plants. But here's the kicker. They aren't just sitting there soaking up sun. They are actively taking up to half of the sugar they make and pumping it down through their roots. They're basically giving away free food, right? Well, they're feeding this whole underground community of bacteria and fungi, and in return, they get crucial minerals. It's not a food chain, it's a full-blown, bustling underground economy.
You know, when we think of soil, we just think of dirt, a solid thing. But what's absolutely mind-blowing is that healthy living soil is almost 50% empty space. Yeah, it's half air and water, and that space is everything for the food web living in it. And see that tiny little slice? Just 5%? That's the organic matter in life. That little fraction is the conductor of the whole orchestra. It runs the entire show.
So how does that structure hold up? How does it not just collapse? Well, it's held together by something called soil glue. I'm not kidding. These tiny little microbes actually secrete the sticky stuff to, glue themselves to bits of minerals. And in doing that, they're building their own houses. They're creating their own habitat, and that's what gives us that beautiful, crumbly, rich soil that holds air and water. They are literally ecosystem engineers, just on a microscopic scale. It's amazing.
Okay, so now let's scale up. We're going to see this exact same pattern of cooperation moving from the soil and concentrating into one single incredible life form, a tree.
And this quote, it just nails it. A tree isn't just this static thing, this piece of wood. It's a dynamic process. Think about it. It's a living pump, a column of water that connects the sky all the way down to the earth. It's constantly transforming gases, liquids, and solids, turning sunlight and air into the very building blocks of a whole ecosystem.
And here's the thing, the tree isn't doing this work alone, not even close. A single tree is more like a bustling apartment building, a community center for a huge number of different species. I mean, every single surface, from the tippy-top leaf down to the deepest, tiniest root hair, is just teeming with life. And they're all interacting, all swapping energy and information. It's a cooperative.
And this is where it gets really wild. This cooperation doesn't stop with just one tree, because through these fungal networks, the entire forest is connected. You've probably heard it called the wood wide web. This means the forest isn't just a bunch of individual trees all competing with each other. No way. It's a linked community, sharing water, sharing nutrients, and even sending warning signals to each other through this mind-blowing underground network.
Okay, so we've seen this pattern of cooperation in the soil and in the trees. Let's scale up one more time. Now we're going to look at how this same pattern plays out across the entire planet's water cycle.
But first, I want you to really let this number hit you. Less than 1%. Of all the water on our entire planet, less than 1% of it is fresh, moving, and actually available for us to use. Think about that. The rest is salty ocean, or it's locked away in glaciers or deep underground. It really puts into perspective just how unbelievably precious this cycle of life-giving water is.
So you might think living things just use water, but they actually help create the cycle. A healthy forest, for instance, doesn't just sit there waiting for rain. It's an active participant. Through evaporation and breathing, what's called transpiration, it acts like a gigantic water recycling engine. Get this, it can send up to 75% of the rain that falls on it right back up into the atmosphere. It's literally helping make its own rain, creating clouds and keeping the whole region humid.
But so often, the way we build our world works in the complete opposite direction. Nature's way is to slow water down, spread it out, and let it sink deep into the earth. What do? We build concrete jungles and straight-line channels that do the exact opposite. We speed it up and rush it away as fast as possible. And the result? Well, you've seen it. Erosion, flash floods, and then, ironically, drought.
The solution, from a permaculture perspective, is just so simple and elegant. It's about working with nature, not fighting against it. And the key principle, the whole game, is just to slow the water down.
And how do we do that? Well, we can think like a beaver. Seriously, they're nature's master water engineers. We can use small barriers to slow the water's speed. We can use things like swales, which are just ditches on contour, to spread that water out across the landscape. And then we use mulch and deep-rooted plants to help that water sink in deep. Slow it, spread it, sink it. We're basically helping to rehydrate the land, one little step at a time.
Okay, so we've seen these amazing cooperative systems in the soil, in trees, and in the way water moves, which of course leads to the biggest question of all. So where do we fit into all of this?
Well, the thing is, this pattern of connection doesn't just stop at the tree line. It includes us. In fact, the single most powerful, most important system that you have any control over is you.
In the world of permaculture, this idea has a name. It's called Zone Zero. And Zone Zero is you. It's your body, your mind, your health, your inner world. You know, there's a reason the first ethic of permaculture is care for self. It's that old saying, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of your own energy, your own well-being, that's the starting point for making any real change out there. And this creates this really cool feedback loop. Think about it. We go out into the wild, what you might call Zone 5, and we just observe, we learn. That experience changes us, right? It gives us a new perspective. Well, that changes our inner world, our Zone Zero. And then, when we come back, that new perspective is what actually motivates us to act in a different way. The outside influences the inside, and the inside influences the outside.
And the power of this inner world, of Zone Zero, can be absolutely immense. Just think about someone like Nelson Mandela. They could imprison his body, lock him away on an island, and constrain his physical world completely. But they couldn't touch his ideas. They couldn't imprison his spirit, his convictions. His Zone Zero was free. And that's where the most powerful, fundamental change always begins. It's a force that ultimately cannot be contained.
So, when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway here? It's this. The most powerful tool we have for changing the world isn't some fancy new technology. It's a new perspective. It's a shift in our own minds. It's learning to see the world not as a bunch of separate things, but as this beautiful, messy, interconnected web of living, breathing, cooperative systems.
And that brings us right back to the beginning, doesn't it? The real work, the real first step, is simply learning to see. So I'll leave you with this question. What hidden connections will you start seeing today? Thanks for joining me.